Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Pretty Pink Posh has a new release and it's all about Christmas. There are so many fun new stamps, dies, stencils, and shaker mixes. And if you are interested in any of the products, I do have links in the description box. So I'll start off by showing the 3 new shaker bead sets. This first one is so pretty with all the blues, whites, and silvers. It's called Snow Days. The next one's called Rustic Christmas. Very traditional Christmas colors with that little bit of brown. And the last mix is called Berry and Bright. More traditional colors with that bit of pink. Now moving on to the stamp sets. The first one is Upright Greetings Christmas. They released a similar style with Halloween sentiments, and now they have a Christmas set. And these fit perfectly with Pretty Pink Posh's Sentiment Strips die set. The next set is called Holiday Icons, and there are coordinating dies. There are lots of fun Christmas images, plus the coordinating die set has a few extra dies, 2 little circles, and sort of a flower outline. The next stamp set is called Snowflakes, and there are coordinating dies. There's a die that goes around all of the images and also the winter greeting sentiment. The set also includes 2 other sentiments, Let It Snow and Warmest Wishes. I think this would be a really fun set to create your own snowy background pattern paper. This is one of my favorite new stamp sets, lots of great sentiments. It's called Winter Greetings, and there are coordinating dies, and there is a die that goes around all of the sentiments and images. I love the variety of different sentiments, and I know I'll be using this set for years and years. The next stamp set is Holiday Ornaments, and there are coordinating dies. There's a die that goes around all of the images and the large word Merry. The set also includes 2 other sentiments, Happy Holidays and Joy to the World. Now moving on to the die sets, I'll start with the sentiments. Here's a single word winter. This is the Winter Script die set. It's always fun to combine the die cut sentiments with some of the stamp sentiments. So you could have winter greetings or hello winter, lots of options. There are 2 more sentiment die sets, both include the shadow. There's Large Joy and Holly Jolly. I love the large size of the word joy. Next up is Christmas Light Garland. It includes a fun wavy Christmas light string, plus the die that will cut out the Christmas light bulbs. Next up we have 2 new shaker die sets, Snowflake and Winter Hat. Both of these are so fun, and you can use the dies to create shaker cards or non-shaker cards. I love having the different options. The nice thing about many of the products in the new release, they're perfect for Christmas or winter cards. There's a new cover plate die. This one's called Ornament. So it'll cut out 5 different decorative ornaments. One would cut out just that solid circle. And there are also some tiny pieces you can use to decorate your ornaments. So there's the little ornament hooks, bows, holly leaves, a little star. The next die set is Big Christmas Cupcake. I love Pretty Pink Posh's cupcake die sets, and this is a fun new addition. It includes a new cupcake wrapper with the faux stitch chevron lines, the large Christmas tree frosting, and lots of fun accessories to decorate your cupcake. The next die set is a larger one. It's called Holiday Wreath Builder. There's the large outline of a wreath, lots of leaves, foliage pieces, and a large bow. Plenty of pieces to create a fun holiday wreath. And I think this would be a great set to make wreaths all year round. You could bring in some other images from previous Pretty Pink Posh foliage and floral sets. You could make a fun Valentine's Day wreath, a springtime wreath. I think a fall wreath would be beautiful. So many different possibilities. The next die set is called Fringe Tree. There are 4 different sizes of trees with that fringe cut end at the bottom. There's the tree trunk and also a stitch star. And I will be using this set on a card after I show the rest of the release. The next die set is another one of my favorites, Stitch Snowflakes. I don't think you can ever have too many snowflake dies. They're perfect for Christmas or winter cards. The final die set in the October release is called Build an Ornament. There are 4 different sizes and styles of ornaments, lots of different tiny pieces to decorate your ornament, and then also the little ornament topper pieces. Now moving on to the new stencil set, and there are 4 new stencils. The first one is my favorite. It's called Cascading Snowflakes. It includes a single stencil with a variety of snowflake sizes. The next stencil is called Layered Snowmen, and there are 3 stencil layers included. Next up is Layered Winter Hat, and there are 2 stencil layers in this set. And the final stencil set is called Layered Bows, and there are 2 stencil layers. So that's everything that's included in Pretty Pink Posh's October 2024 release. And if you are interested, I do have links in the description box. I do have a card to share with you using some of the new products. I'll be using the Fringe Tree die set, Large Joy Shadow die set, and the Cascading Snowflake stencil. I'll start off by using the stencil. I have a piece of white shimmer cardstock, and this is A2 size. I'll be doing the stenciling on one of Scrapbook.com's white silicone mats. I'll place the stencil on top of my white cardstock, hold it in place with Scrapbook.com's mint tape. And I'm not using any ink. Instead, I'll be using Astro Paste from Simon Hurley. This is the Frostbite color. I know on camera it just looks white, but once it dries, it leaves this beautiful, sparkly, glittery finish. And the nice thing about that glittery finish, it doesn't shed, so no glitter mess at all. I'm using one of the little spatula tools, taking out a small amount of the Astro Paste. Then I'll scrape it across the stencil, making sure to fill in all of those openings on the stencil. And I'm using the flat side of the spatula, trying to keep the paste even with the stencil. I don't want it super thick. And I know I didn't show it on the video, but I did wipe that excess Astro Paste back into the bottle. Don't want to waste any of it. So now I'll remove this stencil, and you can see this really fun detailed snowflake pattern. I know it is a little harder to see on camera since it's white on white, but I love how this turned out. The white shimmery pearlescent cardstock with the glittery snowflakes is so pretty. Perfect for a tone-on-tone background. And if you're wondering, I did let the panel sit overnight. You really want that Astro Paste to be completely dry so you don't accidentally smudge it. Now I'll start working on the fringe tree. I use 4 different shades of pink cardstock from my stash. And I want to add just a little extra color at the bottom edge of each of the tree layers. I'm using Distress Oxide Lumberjack Plaid ink. And even though I'm using a red ink on pink cardstock, I think it adds just the right amount of color at the bottom of those tree layers. I'll quickly clean up some of the ink on my silicone mat. And I'm using Scrapbook.com's brand new Crafty Cleanup Cloths. They are a microfiber cloth. They are washable and reusable, lint-free, and perfect for cleaning up your crafty area. I just wiped away some of the excess ink, but if I get the cloths wet, it would have cleaned that area beautifully. So now it's time to assemble the fringe tree. I'm using Barely Art glue, putting it on the back of each of the tree layers. I'm just not adding any glue behind that fringe border. So one by one, I'll add another layer until I have all 4 pieces of the tree. And you could use just 3 layers or 2 layers depending on the size of the tree that you want. I used some brown cardstock from my stash for the tree trunk. I'll put glue on just the top area of the trunk, then place the tree on top. I don't want a super tall tree since I'd like it to still fit on an A2 size card. And before that glue completely dries, I'm trying to make sure to get the tree trunk nice and straight. Next, I'll add a white splatter on the tree, and I'm using Spellbinder's Splatter White Opaque Watercolor. It's been a little while since I've used this, so I'm mixing it with my paintbrush. Then I'll put a small amount on an acrylic block, spritz it with just a tiny bit of water, then I'll gently tap the paintbrush over the tree, creating this fun snowy splatter all over it. And I will set that aside to dry completely before adding it on my card. So there it is, all finished. I love the look of the white splatter on the pink tree. I've already gone ahead and put my card front onto a card base, and this is an A2 size card. I'll be adding the sentiment Joy. I cut out the sentiment from some dark red cardstock, and for the shadow I used some vellum. I'll glue the 2 pieces together, hold the sentiment with a pair of reverse tweezers, then I'll add just a light amount of Barely Art glue on the back. This is a very delicate sentiment, but I love the large size. And I didn't want to have any other color as the shadow. I think the vellum works really well, and that red will pop against the pink tree. But since I am using vellum for the shadow piece, I want to make sure not to get too much Barely Art glue, since that glue will show on the vellum. So now I'll layer the sentiment on the vellum shadow. I'll place a large acrylic block on top for some added weight while the glue dries. Once the glue has dried, I'll put away my silicone mat, although I will grab that mat here again in just a moment. I'll place the tree on the card. I love the large size of the tree, and the pink and brown really pop against the white background. I'll grab this small silicone mat again, flip over my tree, place it on the mat, and I'm using the mat just in case some of the white splatter watercolor isn't completely dry. I did let it sit for quite a while, but just in case I don't want to get the watercolor on my craft mat. It's much easier to clean up the silicone mat versus my gray workspace mat. I am popping up the tree using some thin foam squares. I'll make sure to get good coverage, but I'm not adding any behind the fringe area on the bottom level of the tree. Now I'll remove the release paper and add my tree on the center of the card. And I'm lining up the bottom of the trunk with the bottom edge of the card. I did cut out the stitch star from some gold mirror cardstock from my stash. I'll put glue on the back and adhere it on the top of the tree. You could add some small pieces of foam behind the star, but most of the star is adhered at that very tip of the tree. The final step is to add the sentiment Joy. I'll hold it with a pair of reverse tweezers, carefully put glue on the back, trying to be careful and only add glue behind the red cardstock area. That way the glue doesn't show through on the vellum. Part of the J and the end of the Y will go off of the tree, so I don't need to add any glue there. Now I'll place the sentiment Joy on the center of the tree, then I'll put a large acrylic block on top for some added weight while the glue dries. And I did let that sit for about a minute. So there is my finished card. I love how this turned out. The snowflake background is so sparkly, and the pink tree really pops against that white tone-on-tone background. I did end up making 2 cards, decided to go with 2 pink trees. If you're not a fan of pink, you can easily change out the color for your tree. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links in the description box below. And be sure to check out Pretty Pink Posh's brand new October 2024 release. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.